Hey y'all, Magic Week continues, and today is a full moon, and there was an eclipse, partial eclipse overnight last night. And so it's a perfect day for me to speak to the magic of working with lunar cycles. There were times in my life when I thought that was only for like actual witches and people who were way more fancy and spiritual than I was. And what I've come to believe is that we are all inherently connected to nature, what is going on around us, and we can make a choice to collaborate with what's going on around us in service of our growth, our healing, our transformation, and moving closer toward our intentions. So I'm going to talk about how I think about working with the moon and some of the things that I often support people in doing as practices to collaborate with the natural energy around. So full moons, like tonight, really hold the energy of, as you can imagine, like culmination and then beginning a new cycle, right? So I usually invite people to sit with two questions at a full moon, which is, what needs to be released and what do I choose to invite in? So it's kind of like, of this last cycle, however you define that. It could be a 10-year cycle, or it could be the last lunar cycle, about a month. What am I now aware of is no longer serving me? So it could be, I release my father's expectations. I release the belief that I have to do it all myself. I actively let go of my sense of security being based on a steady paycheck so I can embrace my purpose and passion in entrepreneurship, right? Like, it can be anything. But really thinking about what's feeling heavy, what's feeling outdated, and what's no longer aligned with what you now know and who you are currently. So that's the first question. And then the second question is, what am I opening to? So it might be a belief of, I welcome a sense of embodied radical trust in the universe, in my path, in my relationship, who knows what. It could be, I invite in 100 grand this year, right? Like, it can be a concrete invitation, or it can be an essence or an emotional invitation. What I caution people about is, if you're inviting in something that's more concrete, make sure there's no clause in it. So if you're saying to yourself, this has to happen or else, or I really need it to happen, like if you got a little Gollum energy there of like, my precious, it's probably not the one you need to focus on. So looking at that and then getting beneath it, kind of pulling the blanket back and going, what is it that I actually want? What am I telling myself I will feel or be when I achieve that goal, that more outward external goal? And then let that be the intention. Like, I choose to believe that I am powerful beyond my knowing. I choose to invite in a relationship that makes me feel fully celebrated, right? Like, it's those kinds of things. So some ways to work with that. So that's the intention. That's the essence, is like, release, invite in, because you're basically cleaning out your basement. You're releasing the shit out of the basement so that you can bring in some new stuff and like create a party room in there. So we can work with that through burning ritual, which I love. I love to burn stuff, because all ritual is, and I'll probably do another video on this, is aligning an action that our bodies can feel and see with our intention, because our humanity takes it's a little bit more sluggish to catch up to intention. So ritual is a way of moving energy and catching our humanity up to speed. So burning is great. And so often I have people on a single page create two columns, just draw a line down the middle, and then there's the release, and then there's the receive. Cut it in half. They need to be separate. You can use two full separate pages if you want. Doesn't really matter. You get where I'm going here. And then go out, connect to the moon. I know it might feel silly at first, and just, see it or feel it and just say to yourself some version of, I welcome your support in my releasing and intention setting. It literally can be that simple. Just, I welcome your support in this. And then you literally just read either to yourself or out loud, or sometimes to a witness, which can be really powerful. I do this with my partner sometimes. Read each one and say some version of, I choose to fully and completely release my belief that blah, 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 or my pattern of blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the other part. A key word, if you find yourself feeling real like ew about the stuff you're releasing, put in there, I take full responsibility for and intend to completely release. Because what we resist persists like crazy, right? And so if we have any of that energy, we are actually amplifying the thing we say we don't want. So if I say, I take full and complete responsibility for my perfectionistic tendencies and choose to release them fully so that I can feel more free and aligned. That feels really different than like, get rid of my perfectionism. So that's a little tricky thing that can get in there. But again, when you're clean with your release and when you're really in a space of personal responsibility, it moves the energy differently. So one by one, burn them. And I even like to have people cut them into strips so that they can burn each releasing statement on its own. And it's a fun thing to watch because some will burn easily and some will require that you relight them multiple times. And often those are the ones that are wanting to hang on. And like, but do you really mean it? Do you really want to let me go? So there's that. Then on the other side, you can work with your intentions in several ways. So I have had people plant them under a plant, like actually get a seed or a plant. And while you're putting the dirt in, you actually put those intentions either around the pot or under the roots, so that every time you water that plant or nurture that plant, you're at least unconsciously nurturing your intentions. You can also do moon water. So I often take a mason jar, and because y'all know I have not only an oracle deck problem, but a crystal problem, I put whatever stones feel aligned with the intentions I'm working with. And it might just be a quartz. Like I've got a version of quartz here in the mason jar, because I like all the help I can get. And crystals, I don't know, it feels more magical to me, honestly. And then I take my intentions and I tape them around the outside of the jar. And water, there's all kinds of cool science around the molecules of water and how they are impacted by intention and focus. So that's for another day. But tape it around the jar, put that lid on so no gunk gets in it, and then just take it and sit it outside. I usually try to put mine where I feel like it can, it can be in somewhat relationship with the moon and kind of where the moon is positioned, but it really doesn't matter. Just sit it outside and invite the moon to amplify your intentions. And then usually I get up the next morning and just sip on my moon water throughout the day. But again, in the morning, it's that I reread the intention and I drink the moon water, because the idea is the water holds that intention. So those are a couple rituals that can be done. Also, if you feel like burning your desires feels like letting it go in sparks into the universe so that it can be amplified and supported, you can burn it too. For me, burning feels more like a release, but you do you. So working with the moon is a way of, one, it's an invitation to check in periodically, just like the moon does. Like, okay, I got full, now I'm gonna let go so that I can be full again, right? So an invitation to check in, because many of us don't do that. And we are not a culture of checking in without shame or blame, right? This is checking in with intention and curiosity. What do I now know? How have I grown? How do I see things differently? And who am I becoming? And who do I choose to be? And how do I choose to participate in the world I want and the vision that is most compelling to me? And we have the opportunity to do that every month, thanks to the moon's invitations. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it brings some extra sparkle and magic and inspiration into your world. And if you have any questions, type them in the comments. And if you have any magical ideas about how you work with the moon, please share. We love that. We love the community wisdom around here. All right.